New rule, let's put a trigger warning on trigger warnings.
I gotta take it on the other side.
Crazy week in Philadelphia here with the entire highway collapsing. I-95 goes down, man. Trump turns himself in down in Miami. We'll get into some national politics, Trump and Biden, and I want your thoughts on Tucker Carlson essentially snubbing Fox News after having a non-disclosure, non-compete agreement in his contract. Welcome into the other side. My name is Dan Borowski, the producer of the Dom Giordano program right here on 1210 WPHT Philadelphia. You can see us every day here on YouTube at noon for Dining with Dom. You can listen to us every day, noon to 3 on the Odyssey app. Here with, again, Anthony, morning show, Dawn's producer, really the every tool man here at the station.
Yes, doing it all.
Yeah, man. So, getting into it, first off, I-95 collapses. A truck veers off the road, goes under an underpass, explodes, fire melts the bridge from bottom up, and the bridge goes down. So we had a water crisis this year. We had this smoke that was in the city last week, and then you have the biggest thoroughfare in the entire city collapsing. What's next?
Icing on the
for
cake.
Philadelphia?
Just the icing on the cake. Yeah, we continue to have amazing things catch national headlines for tragic reasons.
It's terrible, right? It's like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I wonder what people thinking around the country. Like if you're tuning in, I send this to some of my guys in my Madden leagues, and if you're tuning in, what's the impression of Philadelphia on a national scale at this point?
Yeah, I mean, people think we've gone to hell, I think, really. But a lot of this stuff,
wrong?
Don't blame us. This isn't all our fault. But it really does suck. You know, you can't even go to the airport and pick up your son the way that we talked to Mark Fu this week. I know he was on with Zioli. He was on with Dawn. He was one of the first people to have a video. He was thinking it was a brush fire, as many did who drove over 95 at that time.
Could you imagine being one of those people that drove over that?
Well, and then when you look, especially even at his video, which was early apparently, it dips. The road's starting to dip already. Like you could see the cars kind of going down a little bit. Yeah, and then when it's later,
there was already smoke and all.
Yeah,
too, like
yeah.
visible
and then later on, other people were taking TikToks as well, and they were driving through, and the plume of smoke was huge at this point. They didn't even want to drive through, and people were like holding their breath and going, which I would have not. I would have just
That's my
stopped.
question. If you see that coming up on the highway, are you?
No.
You don't expect the damn thing to collapse, though.
And I know, I mean, in Mark Fu's defense, I did not, he thought it was a brush fire.
Tell me the story, Mark, because I didn't catch the interview. First off, plug where we can find it, and second, tell me what he said.
Yeah, if you go to, if you look up the Dawn Stensland Show on Odyssey, Apple, Spotify, anywhere, you'll find the interview there. But Mark pretty much, and he was on every, his pretty little face was on every national. I think he was on NBC.
Yeah,
he was on
everywhere.
with Fox News. He was with everyone. Yeah. So he was one of the first videos just in general, nationally. Everyone picked it up. But he was on his way to pick up his son from the airport on the turnpike, going as normal, and as we said earlier, he said to us verbatim, he thought it was a brush fire, and immediately on his way back, traffic got way worse. They got wind of what had happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just pure chaos that ensued after that. And thank God, they didn't get to go back and things didn't get even more catastrophic. And thank God that was on a Sunday.
Yeah.
If that was on a Monday or a Tuesday, could you imagine?
Like
oh my
rush
God.
hour.
Oh my God. Thank God.
Especially with the weight of stopped cars there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That was
Yeah, I guess and obviously tragic for the driver that was found dead and the family.
Terrible.
Nobody wants to see that.
I heard from a source that it might have been a medical episode that led to this. So keep that in mind.
It's true, and that is I believe that's a hill as well, isn't it?
Do you have the video?
Yeah, we do have the video.
Yeah, I think we have a video here of.
Yeah, this was released earlier from Steve Keeley after coming on with the Dom Show.
Yeah,
but this was
also
the new angle.
Available via podcast, Odyssey app. Here's the angle.
Yeah, coming down that corner there, pretty quick. Goes down.
And it looks like he goes down that hill that you're talking about there, right? Like a little embankment.
Yep, and then there's the corner right there, and it's almost immediate explosion.
Yeah, kaboom.
Yep. And that, I mean, to me, especially truck drivers, they're very, very qualified. They know what they're doing. They are constantly regulated and told to take new tests, etc. I can only imagine they know how careful they have to be, and it's especially near an older, infrastructure city.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, like you said, that something like a medical episode does make sense because, I mean, if this guy was a truck driver, they've gone through this. They know it. They know it's, harmful fuel. You never know what could be in those tanks. And capsizing like that, it's just, it's awful.
How can I blame Krasner?
I've been hanging out with Dom too much.
I'm trying too hard, man, to blame him here. But do you place the blame anywhere here? I mean, is it just a freak accident, you think?
Well, I think this goes to the constant just pushing off infrastructure.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, especially in the Northeast, where these cities have been here for decades. I mean, at this point, centuries. It's these are the oldest cities in the country, Philadelphia among them. We need to maintain these roads and build them with, first of all, better materials. We have to make sure that they're constantly improving. I know we all complain about construction, but at this point, we build things to almost get destroyed. Like, why aren't we going toward a different goal? Why aren't we using better materials? Why aren't we asking the right questions? It can't be, I think this really brings an opportunity for, this can't be another, oh, how does this affect me and my commute? This needs to be we say we all care about government now, and we want to hold people accountable left or right, and we want our tax dollars to work. How about we all, like, as citizens, really look into this and really push our local government, whether you're in the suburbs or in the city, because this affects everyone, no matter who it is.
Particularly in the city. I mean, we're talking 95 here. That's
not only that, it affects literally the entire region when it comes to logistics and all of that.
Yeah,
so
shipping,
supply chain.
Commutes. But also, I mean, even on the more micro scale, you're talking about people in city infrastructure. You look over in Port Richmond, man, and that's where I sleep or rest my head. But block by block, it's just happening slowly. Streets are just dropping out under, and you're having these huge sinkholes that are like 15 feet by 15 feet. And I'm sitting here wondering, what the hell is the city doing where this is happening, first off. But second, the idea behind how this happened was they closed off where Delaware turns into Richmond Ave in Port Richmond. They closed off Richmond Ave to do some construction, tearing it up so they can put in new trolley lines. And they diverted a bunch of trucks down one-way roads in Port Richmond, more narrow roads. And those roads apparently built so long ago that they weren't graded for the weight of these trucks. And over time, with pipes under them that are rusted and pipes break because of the pressure, or it just pretty much drops down. And that's exactly what you're talking about. We have roads here in Philadelphia that are so old that because of the wear and tear, they're now just dropping under them. Houses are being affected by this. And
well, in a neighborhood like that too, where like Port Richmond is a true Philadelphia neighborhood in a neighborhood sense. And I'm not saying that something like Center City is also a neighborhood, but this has been so built up by corporate money. And I mean, really since the 80s, Center City's been built up. So a lot of those things, regulations, weight limits, new piping, new gas lines, all of those things, they are a lot more back of mind for Center City and a lot of the more quote unquote traditional Philadelphia areas. But when it comes down to it, Port Richmond, which is, kind of right there against the water, we have to, then again, that goes back to my point of infrastructure. They have to see things like this coming. We can't say, oh, well, there's another route, and then not think about, oh, well, these are 200-ton trucks that have never been on these roads. Is that going to,
a lot.
never ruin a good story with the truth. But it's insane how we continue to like kind of sit in this limbo of knowing everything's not capable of working, but still acting like, oh, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's the complacency, whether it's voters or politicians. I think a lot of the time, just for our own convenience, we're like, yeah, well, it'll be fine. And it's not always fine.
No. There's a lot of monotony that goes into producing here at 1210. A lot of listening to long things, trying to find sound bites. And one of the things that you took the time to listen to today was Pete Buttigieg, Department of... what is he? Secretary of Transportation, or
Department of Transportation, chief of.
He came to Philadelphia to comment on this, and you took a watch. Was there anything that stood out from the press conference to you?
He corrected how they said East Palestine.
I saw that, and it was after a question from Linda Stein. Linda Stein over at Delaware Valley Journal, a great writer, essentially said, "Oh no, you know what? Yeah, that was her. I think it said, how did it take you so long to get out to East Palestine?" She said.
Well, first of all, it's East Palestine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Her last name's Stein,
Okay.
man. Like, come on.
Okay.
it's a
Jesus.
good mistake for her. She says her name every single day. But yeah, there's definitely that angle of it. Why was he so quick to respond to this, whereas East Palestine kind of went under the radar for so long?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this is something that affects more people generally in the region, so that's why maybe he's a little quicker to it. It's depressing that he should be at everything immediately. Isn't that his job?
Yeah.
And the talking points today, it's just so lazy. They don't want to commit any money.
Mhm.
I mean, all he really has to go out there and say is, hey, listen, we hear you. We understand this impacts everyone. This impacts us at DC. This impacts the entire Northeast region. This impacts New York, New England, etc. Do some big spiel. Say we have trucks from DC coming. They're going to be expediting this process, helping Governor Shapiro, Mayor Kenney, and we were going to be next to you every step of the way. If you guys have any questions on how this is going to happen, first demolition needs to happen, then we'll send these trucks, etc. So it is really not that hard. I could write that. I could be the PR person that writes that. It's not hard, but they just don't want to commit the money. Bottom line. And it's crazy. And,
And I'm going to cut you off because it's what we talked about a lot on air on the Dom show is if you throw money behind it, if you incentivize workers, you can get this done pretty quickly. You look at I-85, I think it was, down in Georgia. I think it was a 43-day turnaround. They had a similar situation where the entire portion of the highway collapsed, and they incentivized workers, threw money at them, and said, get this fixed. I don't care how much it costs.
Yeah, Charles in the chat saying it's an easy win. Exactly.
Yeah.
Democrats are dying for a win, and they can't even throw some money at a problem like this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if you're Biden, you should really be pushing Pete to go back out there tomorrow and do something really here. Do something real here. Like prove to people that you're capable of something.
Steve Keeley says that they're the alleged where it stands right now is the contractors are meeting with engineers, are meeting with Buttigieg, everything, and they hope to have a plan tomorrow rolled out.
After the demolition, yeah, they said as soon as tomorrow. So
yeah,
we'll see.
What are you satisfied with? Dom said end of July. I said Labor Day.
If they get it done within the summer, I'll be astonished.
Yeah.
I'll be
Everything
thrilled.
moves so slow. I mean, look at the I-95 project. It's been going on for like a decade. I think it's been extended 3 times.
Yeah, are people still going to go to the shore this summer now?
Yeah, I think they'll find a way to get there. Yeah. Talking about easy wins for Democrats, what they probably think is an easy win, but I want to ask you the question. Donald Trump turning himself in after the indictment, classified doxy roll in the eyes.
I don't even really like Trump. I'll be honest. He's not. I didn't vote for him.
But you see the absolute bias.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and especially on top of how this continues to come out against Biden and their alleged documents and their also having similar types of malfeasance documents, money laundering, who knows what else.
I don't mean to cut you off, but that's where I want to hone in on, because I feel we're missing an opportunity just across conservative radio that we need to. It's not a conspiracy anymore that they time release things to happen to cover up other bullshit. And what they're covering up right now is this Hunter Biden Burisma investigation. You have a witness here that Chuck Grassley announced today has legitimate phone calls with both Hunter and President Biden, implicating them in some kind of scandal here. And it just so happens that the day that the things start rolling here, Trump gets indicted. And it's so transparently not only a biased FBI and justice system, it's also a cover-up. It's a straight-up cover-up of this Hunter Biden stuff.
Well, and not only that, because you can talk about the things they're doing and how it's wrong, and we can go on and on about that. But at the end of the day, like, this just hurts America, and this hurts voters. You know what also hurts us? The Comer investigation into Biden. This also, the constant wasting of time of them going after Trump for everything and anything. And this hurts all of us. These things just hurt us all, and the voters and the American people are consistently ignored. And that is, and I get it. I know some Trump people might come at me. I understand he seemed like he had a better handle as president than Joe Biden. I'm not denying that. But this constant celebritization of each politician and each family and rooting for them as if they're a king. Like, this is why we left England, to call out these people. We're the kings. We are. The voter is the king. Yeah. We need to realize this. I don't care if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat. The great thing about this country is we get to tell you to either go in office or F off.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's bottom line. So I just don't understand this
You
constant.
don't think there's importance to finding out whether, though, our politicians are in bed with the enemy?
I'm not saying it. I mean, it clearly seems like there's for sure some sort of malfeasance on all ends, really. So I want to investigate it, but at the same time, all of these people always find a way around because they know people and they have money and there's nobody's ever really taken to the full extent that we want them to. And I'm not saying that I don't want them to. Honestly, whether it's Biden or Trump, if they're criminals to an extent, I hold them accountable because I know they would with you or I, so because we're not in that club. So I'm sick of this whether you're a powerful.
Are you against then the Trump arrest? I mean, it seems that.
Yeah, I am against it.
Okay. Would you be in favor of it if Biden was also arrested?
I guess if you frame it that way, yes, I'd want them both in jail, I guess. But I mean, if you really want to compare
when it's
apples,
just straight up political bias that we're seeing here.
Yes, but if you really want to compare apples to apples, I would say it seems like what Trump did is way less important than what Biden did.
Yeah.
At least when it comes down to what both sides are alleging. I mean, again, not everything is out with both of these stories, so we're not sure exactly. I mean, there's even rumors that this document that they're holding him accountable for, they don't even know where it is. So there's so much in this that we don't know. But as to what I said, if both of them, quote unquote, deserve to be arrested, I would want them both arrested. But it seems like both of them won't be. And we sit here wasting our breath and not talking about voters and our communities and how to improve these things. And then we sit there and stoke the political culture wars more and more.
Well,
It's just,
we do conservative radio.
Well, yeah, that's our job.
It is.
That's why we're here.
It is. Trump versus Biden looks like if all things stay as they are, is what we're going to see in another presidential.
Yeah.
It's like in your dream world.
Oh, my dream world. Well, I don't know.
Your utopia. Who would be the Dem? Who would be the Republican?
The Rock and Kanye.
Oh no! Come on, give me a serious.
I'm kidding. I think I would go. I mean, if we're talking current candidates. Vivek has been winning me over recently.
Really?
Yeah, I do like Vivek the more I hear from him because he is a total outsider. And I really like what he brings to the table in that sense. And he's also young, which I think he's 37. I looked up today. So he's pretty much right at the brain. Like, so he's right where you can just start running.
The strategy then becomes, do you run a Democrat that it's a win-win situation, or do you run a Democrat that's an easy win for Vivek?
No, I want RFK. I want Robert F. Kennedy versus Vivek. And that was hard because I like Tim Scott too,
it's
but
crazy.
That's what I want. That's what I think.
Can you
both
imagine
of them,
those debates, general election debates?
They'd be a trip. But man, hey, and there's reports 80% of Democrats supposedly want RFK to debate Biden. I would love that. I need that.
Great.
I need that.
They're going to do everything in their power to keep the guy out of debates. So.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, it seems like Trump doesn't necessarily want to do
debates. What's the number one topic you want RFK to corner Biden on? There's a lot of them.
Hard. There's so many.
Yeah.
I guess Ukraine first. It seems like that's really what he's most zoned in on. At least the Kennedys.
Now
he's
he is.
Really,
it was formerly coronavirus.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, the corona thing, you can talk about Biden, you can talk about Trump, but then you also have to talk about the branches of government that impacted on that. I think COVID, it's a little more of a gray area. It's hard to pin it on them. But you're right. I think it would probably be Ukraine, maybe Afghanistan, because that Ukraine you can kind of spin in we need to maintain peace. You can't really spin the Afghanistan thing in any real competent way. Good point.
Tucker Carlson, now 170 plus million views after his second episode. Had a cease and desist sent from Fox News because in his contract he says until January 2025 they have the exclusive pretty much rights to his public persona. So Tucker kind of stepping out here and doing this show. First off, how the hell do we get 170 million views? I mean, we've done 4 episodes.
Yeah,
now.
Can you guys help us out with that? Share it. Send it to your friends, please.
Second off, did you watch Carlson's show? You a fan?
I have totally done a 180 on Tucker Carlson. I hated him, and now I totally, I almost
Did this happen after
guy.
The firing, or is it something that
It's
happened
been a long development. It's been a long development, and I mean, even as recently as when I was in Connecticut, I still wasn't in love with him. but I think his dedication to what he believes in with almost no real trepidation. Like, he does not care what he says on his show other than what he thinks he has to say on his show. He does not care. It seems like he gives literally zero thought into what others say about his show, and he puts his all into making it as much as what he wants it to be. Sometimes that could be a little cringy or weird at times. He's a quirky guy, but I think at the end of the day, he's the only talking head we saw on networks that actually kind of stuck to his guns and didn't cave to the network demands.
I think that's eventually, I mean, obviously there's a lot with Dominion, but I think what led to his departure was, I think Fox recognized too, out of all their hosts, he's the one guy that's not going to hop on the new train that we're trying to drive here.
Yeah.
Even Hannity, you see him doing it to a degree.
I mean, dude, that Hannity thing with Newsom, my God. My God. Like, it made me...
I would never expect to see, like during the Tucker era with Sean, I would never expect to see Newsom on there with him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's Tucker acted like... That's the thing. Tucker didn't want to be associated with the rest of the network if they were going to play buddy-buddy with kind of the big system. Yeah. And I know Tucker got caught with the Trump text, but that's the whole point. Tucker wasn't there to just defend Trump, even though at times he did. He was there to defend his opinions and try to defend principles and to defend the Constitution. And, you know, I don't agree with everything Tucker says, but the fact that he was willing to go against the war machine, he was willing to go against giant corporations like BlackRock, who advertise and own part of Fox.
Nobody else is going after it.
That's what and you literally see BlackRock commercials during Fox broadcasts, and he was doing that.
I really think BlackRock is behind a ton of
that and Dominion
perils of society.
Dominion too. Well, I meant
Fox.
I'm
just talking about overarching.
Yeah. No, it's true.
You make a great point. I'm sorry to hone in on the BlackRock, but you just don't see anybody else talking about it honestly. And the just massive amount of wealth they've accumulated.
Because they're all paid to not say it.
Yeah, you're right.
They're all paid to not say it. So it tells you a lot if Tucker was willing to speak up a little bit on it. And, you know, I think he even had people talking about Ukraine and how they were having loans in Ukraine to build back.
That's the only thing that concerns
BlackRock.
me about Tucker. There's a lot of conspiracies from the left that Tucker is somehow a Russian agent. And his first episode, he went very anti-Ukraine.
He did stoke that a little too hard, I think, at times. Again, I never said I agreed with everything. I don't agree with everything anyone says. So I just think it was, like you said, it was refreshing to have someone like Tucker who at least was willing to step on that ledge. Because it seems like we don't have anyone, you know, and the left doesn't even have that. They have no one they barely have anyone that will call out their leaders who are terrible. So...
You're right.
You know, I think that's one thing people should look at the right and see them.
Have you talked to one person on the left who has at all recognized the Hunter Biden situation as more than a conspiracy?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I think a lot of left-leaning people kind of feel the way I do when it comes to like the Biden and Trump stuff, where it's just like they're sick of it. Like, let's talk about American people and our finances and everyday lives and everyday issues.
Like this is ABC News we're watching. Sorry, we have a TV to our left here. And it's been covering Trump turning himself into Miami for how many hours now?
What? The last 12 hours, probably more.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's just
showing the same Waffle House video that's been out since Saturday, I think.
I mean, I don't mean to say it. It's huge news, but it's the 24-hour news cycle, man.
But that's the thing. That's why we need to be able to keep it fresh. There's so much information now. There's so much opportunity to learn now. There's places to bring together communities and try to have groups impact change. And we sit here just talking about national nonsense and families that like debate each other, when like we could spend a lot of this time talking about how to improve our own things and help our own community, whether that's town, city, state, municipality, doesn't matter what it is. And I'm not saying that you know, the national stuff obviously matters too, but when we talk about it like this at verbatim and make one person David and the other like Goliath, it's just, we can't keep doing that. We just can't. And that's why I always, in this city, I feel like it resonates so well, especially with our sister station, WIP. I mean, no one can deny that every Philly fan that calls WIP loves the Philly teams.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're going to sit there and praise the Flyers all the time
Yeah, no.
just because we're Flyers fans? No.
No.
If anything, we're denouncing
Like,
them.
are
And
we
people
gonna get offended if somebody says something negative about the Sixers?
No.
That happens to be true.
Well, it's like you could love your country and also be critical of the people that run it.
I'm
It's
with you
it's like, come on, like we need to. It's the same thing. I love the Flyers. I don't love the way that it's run. You know, that's why we're happy Jonesy's in there now. But it's the same. Like, why? I just don't understand why in politics, especially here in like these northeast like hard-nosed cities where we don't want to hear that
So
BS.
I have issue with Jonesy.
You have issue with Jonesy.
take
Oh,
issue with
oh,
Jonesy.
he's Odyssey guy too. So
I know. It's just it's the whole Provy situation, trading away Provorov. I really think
I didn't get to chime in on this with you and Dom.
Okay. I really think it is a
I
result of
disagree.
his stepping out during the LGBT pride.
I
night
totally 1000% disagree.
Yeah.
I just think Tortorella, like, if anything, he was someone who put his neck out for Provs, and the way that he defended him, like multiple days too after that. And
I don't want to put it out there like I know a ton about the Flyers. So I remember Provorov as a like top 10 pick, huge prospect, really bright future.
it's like it's like every guy we pick. It's
Yeah,
always,
I know.
they're that's it.
But
It's
my
his time.
understanding was I thought after Ghost kind of fell off and started, playing negatively, Provy stepped up and started being that, good defenseman
He
that we
did.
expected
No,
him to be.
he did.
So did he fall off, or was he still that quality defenseman? Like what's the reason to trade the guy if not?
Well, they're just cleaning house.
Is that what it
Briere
is?
is trying to wash everything away from what's currently going on. It's just a toxic situation. They're paying people like Hayes too much. I mean, even Carter Hart, which I'm not really trying to move Carter Hart, but there are rumors that we'll trade him. And he's the young goaltender the Flyers found who's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I think if there's any piece you keep, it is Carter Hart. Don't let him go. Trade everything else away.
Because he was.
He's
like
good.
18
I
when
mean,
he came into the
he's
league.
struggled a little bit, but I mean, come on, with being on this franchise, I think clean everything except him and Provorov.
He's 24 years old.
We got a decent return for Provorov. They got a few picks. It was a 3-team trade, so I don't know. I understand why people say that, but I would say if anything, they would be more worried about the player in the locker room last year. God, I can't even remember his name because he's so irrelevant. He was a Trump guy, and he was
In the
tied
Flyers
to
locker room?
yeah, he was tied to ranting about Trump, and I don't know. I believe it was before they got him, but
Tony DeAngelo?
yes, Tony DeAngelo, that's it. But he, if anything, he was the one labeled as a right-wing MAGA hockey locker room guy, and that's. So, I don't know. If anything was going to fit that
Is that
narrative,
a common thing with Italians? DeAngelo,
I guess.
DeSantis,
Yeah, I guess.
Zioli,
I guess, yeah.
Giordano,
DiRenzo. Yeah, we're all assholes. So.
They're very conservative.
Don't miss Rich Zioli here. Dine with Rich, or happy hour with Rich.
Yeah, Rich,
Sorry.
Rich called us out the other day. Because
Oh,
I
look at
stopped
that.
in the studio. I thought I was being a kind guy. I say, hey, Rich, we're looking to do our podcast. Do you plan on streaming today? He's like, well, you want me not to stream so you guys can do your other side? I'm like, no, it's not what I'm asking. I'm just seeing if you are and what we can plan around you. Your priority.
We're not. Yeah, so Rich is the priority.
He's
yeah.
definitely priority.
Tune
That's
in
why-
for Rich at 5. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna be here at 5. Don't miss that. Sticking on sports here.
Oh wait, Bubba just said when Trump was leaving, a guy tried to attack him supposedly. Yeah, we gotta look into that. My
Yeah.
God, today's nuts. Today's
Sure,
nuts with all this.
Rich at 5 will be definitely talking about that if that indeed happened. Yeah. I want to get into more sports. Nuggets winning the finals. Jokic afterwards asked, you've won the finals. What do you have to say? He responds, job is done. Time to go home. Very Jokic kind of thing to say.
Hey, I want to hate the guy because of their fans and like the feud between
I'm happy that it
Embiid.
happened.
I mean, I like Jokic, and I'm gonna be mature enough to say it right now. I do like him. He deserved it.
Are you like me though, where I was always like I was annoyed that he kept winning the MVP, but then this past season, Embiid finally wins it, and then as we saw, things fell apart in the playoffs. There's a part of me that's like, I want Jokic to win this just so Embiid feels like crap.
Well, I do like that. I haven't even thought about it like that, but I like how you're thinking because we do need Embiid to have a fire lit under him.
Yeah.
But that's also why I've been pretty annoyed with seeing a lot of the Denver takes about, he's not just MVP, he's a real MVP. He won it all. Can you guys stop?
Yeah.
That's what happened in the last 2 years. You haven't looked good in the playoffs ever until this year. So please, for the love of God, miss me with that take. I think the Sixers, if they make the right decisions, and I really, really do like Nick Nurse. I'm already talking myself back on this ledge. But I do think the Sixers really, especially now when there's not really super teams, they really have a chance here to make that next step. And you're right. Seeing a guy like Jokic who won back-to-back MVPs and then after falling short and looking like he would never be able to do it, then goes on a run and does it himself. I mean, how
much do you give credit to Murray and Gordon, though?
I give them more credit than people want to, because everyone's going to act like it's only Jokic, but you need help, especially, I mean, Sixers fans alone know that. You can't just win with a guy like Embiid. We've been looking for the right shooters to complement him for just years.
Yeah.
Years. And honestly, I think that guy's already here, and it's Maxey, and we need to focus on him. But to your point, we really do need Jokic to be that next like example for what Embiid needs to hold himself to that kind of standard.
You can't assume, though, that Embiid... So Jokic, they talk about him in WIP a lot. He's able to grab the rebound, take it down the court himself, and score. Whereas Embiid, if we want to do that consistently, he's going to have to hand it off to a point guard to pass it back to him when he, gets under the basket or at the three-point line.
But that's for I think that's for our own good, because he's just... He's so big... You can't just let him be the primary ball handler. My question becomes, are we expecting too much out of Embiid by thinking that he can be some facilitator, number one on a team? I'm not saying he can't be number one, but he's a center still. And I get it, today's NBA is different, but you can't just let him be the point and a point forward the way that a LeBron or a Durant is.
You open to trading him?
No.
No.
Because I think the Sixers, especially right now, I know he just won MVP, but they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They've lost in the second round how many times now? If you try to move him for something significant, all those GMs know what else are you going to do. If you're looking desperate enough to trade Embiid right now, they have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
They'll just give you. I mean, will you get a return for him? Yes, but I still don't think you get the return that essentially you deserve for him. That window may have passed at this point.
You don't think you can get 3 firsts for him?
You probably could, but I'm not trying to play the process game again.
Yeah.
We can't. That doesn't work.
I say bring back Sam Hinkie,
I mean, we should have never let him go. I mean, the whole NBA colluded against the Sixers to get him out of here. That's a whole nother story. But, you can't just go, process 2.0. Here we go. That's not. We have to, especially right now with how the NBA, again, the league is wide open. A lot of people thought the Jazz had no chance, or the Jazz, what am I saying? The Nuggets.
Yeah.
I'm getting
I
my
always get
Midwest
confused
teams.
too. I don't know why.
I don't know why I'm doing that.
Yeah, no, I do.
But I mean, nobody thought Jokic was going to do it after winning MVP back-to-back. So, I think the NBA is in a different spot. We lived throughout eras of, okay, it's the Kobe and Shaq Lakers. They're going to win it. And then, the San Antonio Spurs are too good. They're going to win it.
And then the Warriors.
And then the Warriors. And then the Heat. And the NBA is not that right now. The talent's really leveled out. The young guys have really kind of almost caught up to that star level a lot quicker than these other guys did. I mean, back when LeBron was a young guy, you almost moved up around and around and around, got eliminated, moved up around. That's almost every year gradually making it farther. You don't even really see that anymore. Look, Jason Tatum's been to 2 finals.
Yeah.
I know he lost both, but let's be honest with ourselves here. These young players are really popping out. They're jumping to another level a lot quicker than we saw in the early 2000s. And so, I don't know. I that's why I think Maxey might really be that guy. And maybe, we're expecting a lot out of Harden. I get it, but Harden's never going to be that guy. It's going to be Maxey.
Yeah.
It really will be.
All right, so let me ask you this. I'm going to propose a scenario to you. A lot of the news around LeBron is that his next destination, if he continues playing, wants some kind of agreement that they'll draft his son so he can have the chance to play with his son.
Yep.
So, I mean, LeBron James alone, if you got him for a year, I think we could both agree that would be great to bring in LeBron. Just alone. But with the agreement with his son, where do you stand?
Well, I don't know if the Sixers will be a low enough pick to get a son, so that's the issue.
Is he going to go that high?
He's pretty good. Bronny's pretty good.
Really?
I mean, when your dad...
I thought Bronny was just trash, and it was essentially his dad was asking for him to get drafted higher.
When you have the best dietitians and best trainers and best facilities, it's, I mean, you're a nepo baby, but come on, he's good. He's going to be very good, in my opinion. I think LeBron set him up only to succeed, and I really don't think it's going to be a contending team like the Sixers. And I always look at it as this: when you're acquiring LeBron, you're also acquiring a GM. Like he is all of that, all encompassing at once. He's almost like a credit card. And you can only take it for so long, and then you eventually have to pay off the balance after listening to all his demands.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
I mean, it's just not worth the baggage in my mind. And I'm not trying to say LeBron James is a problem and wouldn't help the team. He would. But if he's going to make it about his son, and then maybe, who knows what maybe he wants us to bring in Chris Paul and
his son's AAU teammates that are now in the NBA.
I just think you need to stick with Embiid. You need to stick with our core, and you have to find complements to that. I do like LeBron, and if LeBron didn't have these demands, but once LeBron starts with these demands, when do they end? Yeah. And I don't want anything to do with that. So
I feel like LeBron's got to accept at some point that he's how old now? 36 or whatever he is. Yeah. So let's get into what's worth watching. I've watched a couple of new things to suggest. First thing I want to suggest, a local show, believe it or not, right over in Runnymede, New Jersey. I had no idea this existed. There's a place called Golden Auctions, Goldin. Have you ever heard of Golden Auctions?
I don't think so.
It's surprising that you haven't heard of them because they do according to this TV show. So let me put it out there. It's called King of Collectibles, The Golden Touch. And it came out late April on Netflix, and it's still going on. And it's essentially, I love the American Pickers type shows. I love, Pawn Stars. And it's kind of like that show. But it's all centered in sports and entertainment memorabilia. So it's right across the bridge in Runnymede. They have an auction house. And the things they're auctioning off at this house are, you have a Jackie Robinson jersey that the first episode ends, and the current bid is at $7 million, which doubles the amount of the highest ever sold Jackie Robinson jersey at 3.5.
Jeez.
And then I think a Babe Ruth jersey was like 5.5. So if this sells, it would be the highest, piece of jersey memorabilia of all time. It's a freaking good show, man. It's really well done. They do a bunch of social media marketing, allegedly, and that's how they drive up these prices. And it's all like hyper expensive stuff. They're talking about getting a Babe Ruth baseball, real stuff from movies. I highly suggest it, especially because it's local, and I hope that this thing continues and turns into the next Pawn Stars.
That is awesome. I mean, you don't see anything like that. I guess this is maybe the first one I've heard of since like the Netflix streaming era. I feel like the last time I heard, I think of like Antique Roadshow.
Yeah.
On PBS.
It's like a new, sleeker version of that type of Antique Roadshow, American Pickers, and what they do is they'll show you the piece of memorabilia, give a little bit of history about it, and the characters are entertaining. The guy that owns it flies on a private jet. One of the segments in the first episode was he flies up to Toronto from Philly. They show Philly Airport and everything. Fly up to Toronto and meets with Drake to do an unboxing of cards in search of a triple logo Jumpman card is what they call it. It's a card that's allegedly worth millions of dollars. There's only one that exists and it hasn't been found yet. So him and Drake do like some social media thing. It's an awesome show. I highly suggest if you're into the American Pickers type.
Yeah, for sure.
Series.
For sure.
What are you watching?
I've been kind of all over the place. I saw the new Spider-Man finally, which...
How was it?
Oh my God, man. It's awesome. And
I thought you were going to say it's bad.
No, it's amazing. It's everything and more. It's a cartoon. So if you're not into cartoons, but I'm telling you, this is almost the coolest cartoon I've ever seen. Into the Spider-Verse is the first one. I believe it's still on Netflix. You can catch it before.
Like because of how it looks?
It's really like it's licensed and approved by the National Comic Book Association. So they approve all of the scenes and all of the artwork, and it plays as if you're watching the coolest comic book move, just like before your very eyes. So like an actual constantly.
Reading virtual comic book.
And it moved the colors, the animations, and especially.
Is it the same kind of animation as the first one into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, I'm sure. I think they used more artists in this one because there's just so many scenes, and I know the one scene specifically. Where the main character is being chased. I think they took the entire 4 years since the other one and worked and curated and curated and curated. And I mean, you can really, and this is that type of movie that because comic book nerds love Spider-Man, you could just thrive off of how cool it looks and of all the nostalgia and the little like Easter eggs from either comics or old movies that they put in it. but really, like, it goes in deeper than that, and the story's great. And it ends a little bit on a cliffhanger, but another one's coming out directly next year to wrap up this trilogy.
Can they freaking name these things better, though?
Yeah,
it's
the name's
absolutely
a little...
terrible.
Yeah,
the first one,
it confuses me. The first one's
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse. This one is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Like, why would they do that?
Yeah, that's very confusing.
Makes it impossible to talk
It's
about.
hard.
Like how do we talk about the stories of both
Yeah.
and referring to both? Yeah, no.
Oh, Ann is saying, where is Rich? Rich will be on. Don't worry.
Rich is on at 5,
guys.
Yeah,
Rich will
please.
be kicking us off. Don't worry.
Rich is live over on the Odyssey app right now.
Yeah,
Go
listen
check
to
out
Odyssey. Listen to 12 Down. He's there. Don't worry. We just
Yeah.
hijack it for our podcast.
We know
Don't
we are
worry.
nothing compared to the Mr. Zioli. Another thing I want to talk about, The Night Agent on Netflix. Have you checked this one out?
I need to watch that one. I didn't
Some
catch it
hype
yet.
online. A lot of fun. It's just like a standard FBI show. A tech person who loses her job she goes bankrupt, moves in with her aunt and uncle. The night she moves in, the house is broken into, and she finds out while they're being killed that they're secret agents because they pass her off a phone number for what's called the Night Agency in the FBI. And it's the story of, she calls over to the Night Agency. The Night Agent is a guy by the name of Peter Sutherland, played by Gabriel Basso.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is essentially, she calls over, and I don't know what the conspiracy is yet, but there's some conspiracy playing out in the White House. And the two agents who were murdered, the aunt and uncle, were investigating the conspiracy, and his job now is to protect Rose, the tech person who went bankrupt. And it's a story that you find out with the, it's action-packed, and you kind of find out with the characters what's going on in the conspiracy, and I love those types of shows.
I like that too. And I'm into anything really like crime investigation. I'm a huge True Detective guy. So a lot of that, I'll definitely check that out. I know you were talking about Idols.
The Idol.
The Idol.
Yeah,
The
The
Idol.
Idol.
Sorry.
Did you watch it yet?
I caught, I think, like the first 25 minutes of the first episode.
Okay.
But then I also saw clips on Twitter
Of the second episode?
of some of it. Yeah.
I haven't watched the second episode yet. I watched the first episode.
One, and the creator of Euphoria made this show, which I actually really like. Euphoria.
I thought The Weeknd made it. He's just starring in
Well,
it?
he worked with the creators of Euphoria.
Okay,
to
because
make this show.
it looks like it's shot like a Weeknd video. The opening scene is like just 2 minutes staring at the girl's face, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? Like, is the show gonna start?
It's creepy. Sure.
So the Idol is essentially like, think Britney Spears here, kind of a girl pop star goes through a troubled situation, checks herself into a mental hospital. The show picks up as she checks herself out, and it stars The Weeknd as the male lead, who plays a cult leader who finds Johnny Depp's daughter, who plays the female lead, in the club. She's the pop star. And it's essentially, I guess the best way to describe it is it's a creepier 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, if you've watched Euphoria, I think you have an idea of like the cinematography and the colors are crazy, but then also it just the like.
I feel very
focus
uncomfortable while watching this.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
the same way with Euphoria.
Well, it is a little. They focus more on like drug use, I guess, in Euphoria, but they focus on sex and those kind of things as well, and different
There's a lot of sex
mental
in this
health.
one.
Yeah, and that's, the thing with that. It does seem, I think, a little really inappropriate at times, but this director also was a drug addict, and I think they make these scenes feel almost like. I heard when people were watching Euphoria and they were drug addicts, they almost had to like turn it off because
Really?
it was almost like too real for them to. Obviously, it's not like you're experiencing the drug, but the scene almost made them reminisce to that point so much that it's like it feels very. And I think that's why people feel this might seem rapey or a little bit.
Like
yeah,
they mentioned
yeah.
at one point that the guy seems rapey, the character that The Weeknd plays, and it's completely true. I really don't like The Weeknd. I think the guy has an incredibly large ego. He thinks he's some kind of artist. There's the one thing where he got like the fake plastic surgery where he redid his face for one of his albums.
Yeah.
Like he does really weird stuff. And the entire time I was watching this, I just thought, this show is literally just the guy self-servicing his ego. You have a really, really good-looking girl in Depp's daughter playing the lead. Goes out and finds in a club, the guy's at the time, she recognizes him as a club DJ, and randomly starts dancing with her like he's some hot shit. And then she goes home from the club and pleasures herself to the idea of her missed hookup with The Weeknd.
Oh my
The Weeknd, you're not
God.
an attractive dude by any means. Like, you're
You know what it is? It's literally the weekend. First of all, everyone was obsessed with Euphoria at one point, like at least pop culture wise within the past couple of years. So he probably watched it, like everyone else. Said, "I love this." Reached out to the.
I want to do something about
yeah,
myself.
Yeah. Reached out to the creator of the show. I was like, "Here, let's make one about me."
And you can tell that the guy is just kissing his own ass. Like he thinks so highly of himself that, no spoilers because I don't know if anyone's actually gonna watch this crap. It's got like 26% Rotten Tomatoes. But he plays like the leader of a sex cult, and supposedly like all these girls are attracted to him, and he can woo them. And
sounds like we're talking about politics now.
Yeah, it really does. And then. You know what? We're out of time. We gotta get out of the way because Rich Zioli is coming up here at 5, and you know we gotta step aside.
Happy hour with Rich. Get your cocktails ready. So,
but that's all I got for today. I'm gonna be on again at noon. But Anthony, why don't you close things down and tell us where they can find you?
Yes, check us out. So you'll find Rich here, as we just said, at 5 on YouTube, 5 till 6, and then obviously always live on the Odyssey app. Our podcast here, The Other Side, you can find us now live on the Odyssey app, live on Apple Podcasts, live on Spotify. Anywhere you find your podcast, you can find this. So this will also be up there, as well as obviously YouTube. And tune in to us tomorrow starting at 6 a.m. live with Kalen Company, 10 a.m. with Dawn, 12 p.m. with Mr. Dom Giordano, and 3 with Rich. So keep it locked in here. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, always crazy stuff going on. Hopefully I-95 doesn't get
right. What
more
next
destroyed.
time we come on, what's gonna tornado rip through the city? Like
yeah. Let's hope the city stays a little maintained for now. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great week.